Well, thank you very much. I'm excited to be back at IonE for the Frontiers series and happy to talk with you today about the Resilient Communities Project and work that we're doing to connect the university and communities around sustainability. I'm going to start us off with two kind of big questions to keep in the back of our mind. I'll show them again so you don't have to memorize them, but two questions to focus on as we go through this. The first is, how can we build long-term capacity to produce sustainable solutions and resilient institutions? And those two words popping out a little bit. How can we foster innovation and engagement and cross-disciplinary collaboration in universities? So two different questions at sort of two different areas of focus or scales. And again, we'll come back to these, but try to keep them in the back of your mind as we go through. So again, what I want to focus on today, and as a means for exploring these two big questions, is the Resilient Communities Project, which we're calling, I think we can consider, a new model for university and community collaboration around sustainability. What we try to do with RCP is to connect the University of Minnesota and communities in Minnesota to advance sustainability and resilience. And I'll talk a little bit about what that means in a few minutes. But the way that we do this is through a one-year sustained partnership with a single community in Minnesota and using Resilient Communities Project as a mechanism within the university to match local projects with university capacity that exists in existing courses that we have at the graduate level from across the University of Minnesota. We match those projects that are relevant, active, important in those communities, match them up with work that's already happening here and building capacity on both sides. We have initial support from the Institute on the Environment, which we're very grateful for, as well as from the Center for Urban and Regional Affairs. That's seed funding and seed support in terms of staff. We have Barrett Colombo here in the middle, if you can wave, Barrett. Really critical to the work that we're doing. Mike Greco is watching online. He's with Center for Urban and Regional Affairs. Their staff, in addition to myself, who've been working on the Resilient Communities Project and really essential to the quick start and really the success that we've been able to achieve in the last year. And the Resilient Communities Project is an initiative of the Sustainability Faculty Network, which is a network of faculty, a grassroots group at the University of Minnesota that's been exploring opportunities to enhance sustainability education across the university. This is a group of over 60 faculty that formed about 3 years ago, faculty from diverse disciplines who are working on a wide range of issues related to sustainability and engaged in various ways related to sustainability education. Over the past few years, we've had a series of conversations. We've conducted over 30 interviews with faculty to really explore what are the opportunities and also the barriers to doing interdisciplinary sustainability education at the university. One of the things that we've done through the network is build opportunities for interaction, just simply connect the people who are doing this work, who have an interest in it at the faculty level, and also look for ways to respond to the growing student interest and need relative to sustainability, course offerings, degrees, certificates, all of the pieces that they're wanting, as well as community engaged experiences. And the network was really critical to starting the Resilient Communities Project. One of the key issues, opportunities that emerged out of those conversations and is reflected in the implementation strategy that was developed by the Sustainability Faculty Network is the importance of community engaged work around sustainability, acknowledging that if we're going to be teaching sustainability, we need to create opportunities for students to do that work in community. So seeing community engaged education and experiential learning as critical to the learning that we need to do around sustainability. So Sustainability Faculty Network took this on as an initiative, and the network has really served as an important sort of initial supply of faculty teaching courses that we've connected to through the Resilient Communities Project, and a really strong base of support and I think legitimacy for the work that we're doing. So with that, I'm going to jump ahead to what is a bit more about Resilient Communities Project. How does it actually work? What do we do? As I said, this is a year-long partnership between a single community in Minnesota and courses that exist at the University of Minnesota. We've worked this academic year, 2012-13, in a pilot partnership with the city of Minnetonka, which we all know is a western suburb over here, outside of Minneapolis. We've worked on 14 local projects in that community that they identified as priorities that were in their strategic plan and that connected to sustainability in a variety of ways. We've matched those with 23 courses across the university, and those courses are represented in 8 colleges, and you can see them in the blue box that's here. We're really excited about the amount of work that we were able to do in these projects, and I think even more excited about the reach across the university. We have a number of projects in the Humphrey School where I'm located, but we've really reached pretty broadly into a pretty wide range of courses. And the way that we've done that and the role that Resilient Communities Project plays is really a number of roles. And I think we play the role of facilitator. We facilitate these relationships between the community. We're working in the community. We have close relationships with the staff. We also work really intensively with the faculty who are teaching these courses to ensure that we have a good match, good projects. We help scope them out, ensure that they're ready to go for the students and creating really valuable experiences. We do that sort of personal matchmaking, and that's a critical aspect of what we're doing through RCP. We also serve as a troubleshooter. We deal with things that come up that in the course of doing community engaged work, issues with data, creating capacity to teach around sustainability, creating capacity to do community engagement. We help set up final presentations. We do quality control on final reports, give advice to students, think about report design and presentation skills. And we also do a lot of promotion. There's promotion of the work that we're doing here at the university, but we also help the community promote itself and share the great work that's happening in places like Minnetonka to really express the significance of the work and the innovation that's happening there and the sort of leadership that's happening in the world of sustainability relative to other communities. For the next upcoming academic year, we've actually done an RFP, or a request for proposals, to select a community partner. We worked initially with Minnetonka. We invited them to work with us, and this year decided we wanted to do a competition. We felt that there was interest out there, there was some excitement that was building, and we did an RFP and actually received 7 proposals from communities. All of them happened to be in the Twin Cities metro area. We asked folks in that application to talk about projects that they were interested in. Cities identified 20 to 30 projects, in some cases even more projects that they were interested in working on with the university. They identified stakeholders and partners that they could bring to the table, who could bring data, expertise, who could help extend the work beyond the work that was happening in the individual community. And we also asked them to identify resources that they could contribute. Staff that would be identified and committed to the work that would happen with Resilient Communities Project, and also a local financial contribution or match that would help support the work happening at the university. Again, we received 7 proposals. We had proposals of local match ranging from $20,000 to $160,000 across those 7 cities, which was amazing for us to think about. And also across those proposals, over 200 projects. So I think that, to me, is another one of those really compelling numbers. While we'll work with one community and probably on 15 to 25 projects in that community, we know that there are 6 other communities at least out there who have projects that are ready to go. They're interested in working with the university. They're connecting to sustainability. And we think just by going through the process of developing that proposal, they're starting to build that capacity and energy and excitement and cross-disciplinary, cross-departmental collaboration that's going to position them, 1, to maybe be our partner in future years, but 2, to just do the work on their own already. So that's an exciting piece. So we've selected North St. Paul, which is over there, a smaller community. It's an inner ring suburb, first ring suburb, dealing with a lot of redevelopment. It's, again, a bit smaller, so we're excited. They're excited. I think we're looking forward to a really great partnership. They've identified a preliminary list of projects, and we're going to be working with them to refine those and start the matching process in the very, very near term. So I've already said sustainability, I don't know, a dozen times at least. I've already said resilience probably a dozen times, but I'll take a moment and just define a little bit. So as we've been talking to communities who are interested in doing this work, helping them think through projects that they might propose, we've talked about sustainability and resilience pretty generally, and I'm not a person who really likes to define things very specifically. I think of these terms as sort of frameworks for a set of activities. We've talked about sustainability and are looking for projects in communities that are about connecting across systems, environmental systems, economic systems, social systems. We're looking at projects that take a long-term perspective, that are looking at change that communities are experiencing over time. We're looking for adaptive, responsive types of actions that communities want to pursue in response to changing circumstances, whether it be redevelopment or changing demographics, changing economic conditions in the community. And we're also looking for projects that bring in collaboration and really facilitate interconnectedness, whether it's with the city and partners, across departments, across issues. So those are the general parameters that we put around the projects that we're trying to work on. So here's a quick view of what we've done with Minnetonka to give you a sense of the range of topics that we've been able to cover and the range of courses that we've matched. So again, these are existing courses at the University of Minnesota. They come from 8 different colleges this year, and they relate to a pretty wide range of issues, and we've been really excited about our ability to match them with Minnetonka projects. I think Minnetonka initially identified 15, 16 projects. We matched all but 3 of those projects with courses between the fall and spring semester of this academic year. These aren't the specific titles of the projects, but you can see the general topics, things from stormwater management, transit-oriented development, water resources planning, neighborhood identities, density and housing options, connections to their village centers, which they have spread across their community. Matching them up with courses across the university. In some cases, it's a small project that a small group of students is doing in a single course. In some cases, it's a full semester project with many students who are all working on it. Could be a studio or a capstone course, could be a regular lecture course, part of a core, an elective course. It doesn't really matter. There are different ways that we've been able to scope these projects or parts of these projects to fit neatly into whatever arrangement packaging a faculty member wants to pursue. So in some cases, like with stormwater management, we're spreading that project across 4 different courses. We had a GIS and environmental science and management course doing some GIS analysis, looking at nutrient loading in water bodies in Minnetonka. We now, in this semester, have an urban hydrology and land development course that's doing a water resource prioritization plan, actually producing a plan that the city can take and work from following this work. A building and site integration and sustainable design class in architecture did work to look at the Ridgedale Mall site, which you're probably familiar with, did some alternative stormwater designs for that particular site. So all focused on the objectives that the community had identified related to stormwater management, but matching it up with the capacities, the scope of projects that could be completed in these courses, all contributing to a broader set of outcomes that match up with what the city is looking for. So those are just a few examples. As we go to North St. Paul, we're seeing some of the same topics of interest emerging. We're also seeing some new ones, and those are highlighted in the bold there. We have some energy projects. North St. Paul has done a lot of work on green energy and local energy production. They want to work on their fiber optic network development and match that up with work that they're doing on economic development. Downtown revitalization, again, they have a strong focus on redevelopment in that community. Civic engagement and communication, public art and public history. They want to do some work on human resources, a staff development and retention plan for the community, in addition to lots of other things that align with some of the topics we saw before. As we move into this next year, we've also been pitching other capacities that we have that didn't even match up with projects they'd initially identified. In some cases, we have faculty who want to work on this, but we haven't been able to match a course with them. So we're looking at things in public health, for example, active living and community health, tree preservation, greenway corridors, community organizations, a number of things. And also starting to think about moving beyond the course model, potentially, where it can help meet some of the community's needs. Looking at individual student projects that might occur through a thesis or a terminal project or capstone type of experience. Matching some projects with research assistance that might be facilitated through Center for Urban and Regional Affairs that does a lot of these community-based projects where they're matching up individual students with an organization to complete work that's important there. We see these as really supplements to the sort of course-based model that we've been using so far. So we're excited about the range of topics we've been able to respond to and our ability to reach into a wide range of courses and create these experiences for students in a bunch of different disciplines across the university. So overall, we've been focusing on, as we've designed Resilient Communities Project and thinking about how to communicate about the impact and the significance of this work, we've been focusing on what are the opportunities that we're responding to, what's going on and why is this so significant and why is it a real contribution at this time. I think one of the things that we see is there's growing community motivation to promote sustainability, to advance sustainability in the work that they're doing. We have more and more communities doing sustainability plans, hiring sustainability staff. We want to be able to support that work and contribute our expertise to that changing situation. They're also responding to changing conditions, aging populations, communities that are built out and now shifting to redevelopment, lots of changes that communities are experiencing. We also have growing student and faculty interest in sustainability. I personally am hearing more and more students all the time coming to me and saying, what can I do in sustainability? How can I find classes? What do we have here at the Humphrey School? Where else do I need to go to do this? Can I get a minor? Can I get a certificate? How do I get an internship? Should I do lead AP? There's all these questions and seeking of opportunities around sustainability that I think we're supporting through the network, but that we can further support with this kind of community engaged work around sustainability. We also have students and faculty who are looking for real-world projects, seeking opportunities to work in communities, gain some experience, particularly at the graduate level. And I interact with a lot of professional students in particular. They're in a graduate program for 2 years. Some of them have a fair amount of anxiety about what they're going to be doing. Are they going to be ready? They want to start getting that experience while they're in school. So this is an opportunity to build that into their coursework in an efficient and a meaningful way. And also faculty are seeking those opportunities to respond to new issues like sustainability and seeking real-world projects. And some faculty have more capacity and experience than others in making these connections with communities. For those for whom it might be a little bit new, Resilient Communities Project makes it a bit more accessible. We help identify the community. We do some of the communication and facilitation of that relationship. And a few other trends that I want to highlight here, I think, is, we're looking at universities and communities, and everybody has fewer resources. And seeing RCP as a way to kind of build some efficiencies into this, building efficiencies into the identification of community-based projects at the university, building efficiencies into the work that communities do around a set of projects focused on sustainability. We're also at a place where there's a strong focus on community engagement. We're a land-grant institution with a long history of community engagement. We're certainly not the only example of community engagement at this university. There's tons of stuff going on and a really, really long history trying to distinguish ourselves among all of that work. But we recognize that we're fitting into this place where this is really important, and we're one of the things that's out there that's helping to advance that work at the university. And again, we're just seeing increased awareness of the need for sustainable and resilient approaches. Just more discussion, more commentary, more interest in sustainability all the time. And I think as we've talked to communities about this work, one of the things that we've really emphasized is the significance of doing multiple projects in a pretty short period of time. So thinking about a 9-month or so academic year and the ability to complete a whole bunch of projects, maybe 12 to 20 projects in that community that they wouldn't have otherwise been able to do. A critical mass of work that's happening in that community, an influx of expertise from students, ideas, and expertise from faculty, connecting that with staff in that community. And we're really hearing reports of increased energy, progress in moving toward their goals, creating awareness of that community as a leader in sustainability and resilience, advancing internal conversations and connections across departments that weren't there before. So I think the significance of that sustained relationship over time is something that's really been important to the success of our project so far. So what's different about this? Again, we're not the only thing out there that's focused on community engagement at the university. We're one of many that's really contributing to an engaged university. Again, I think what's different is the multiple projects over a sustained period. We're establishing a relationship with that community. We're building capacity both on the university side and on the community side. We're creating efficient access to the full range of expertise at the University of Minnesota. I've worked with a bunch of communities in the metro area and in Minnesota, and I often have sort of personal relationships with people. Maybe it's an alum, maybe someone I just happen to know in my network, and often it's sort of a one-to-one relationship. And it's hard, I think, for communities to branch beyond the initial sort of entry points. It can be very daunting to figure out, well, I have this project, I have this idea. How do I find someone at the university who will respond to me? I was just talking to Dean earlier, and I still need to respond to him about something. But it can be very, very daunting to figure out, well, who do I really call if I want to do a project on rooftop gardens? Is that ag? Or is that architecture? Is that planning? There are all these aspects. And what Resilient Communities Project, I think, is trying to do is sort of ease that access to make the landscape a little bit clearer and provide the connections to faculty and staff and expertise at the university to help make that match with local projects. I think also the potential to engage internal and external partners, the ability to extend the work that's happening in a single community like Minnetonka or North St. Paul by bringing in other partners, stakeholders, nonprofits, advocacy groups, private partners, you can extend the work beyond what's happening in a single community. I think another significant difference is that the RCP staff, Barrett, Mike, myself, have content expertise in sustainability. We aren't objective, which is good and bad, I think. We bring expertise to the table to help identify really great projects, to help the community think about sustainability. We connect with faculty at, I think, a different level than we might otherwise be able to do if we didn't have that expertise in sustainability. We're working to advance sustainability. At the same time, we're working to advance community engagement and collaboration. We also do a lot of work, ongoing coordination and follow-up. We do a lot of media support and really a lot of promotion of this relationship for our benefit, but also for the benefit of the community. And I think another piece that's different for the University of Minnesota is the significance of the opt-in. We're not forcing anyone to do anything that they don't want to do. These are faculty who want projects, who are already teaching their courses. Students, I guess, could choose not to register for these courses if they don't want these experiences. So to some extent, they can opt in. But I think we're not creating new courses. We're not shifting tuition revenues. We're not making anyone do anything. It's opt-in. People are excited. They want these kinds of opportunities, and that makes it fun. We're not having to coerce anyone. And the same thing on the community side. This isn't a program that's appropriate for every community. It might not be a fit depending on where communities are relative to sustainability or staff capacity or other resources that they have. So I think even outside of the U of M, the opt-in piece is really significant. So hopefully you had a minute to think about those two questions. So they're back up here. They have a different picture associated with them, but the questions are the same. So with that background on Resilient Communities Project, I'm going to kind of step up a level, a little bit of abstractness, and come back to these two questions. So how can we build long-term capacity to produce sustainable solutions and resilient institutions? And how can we foster innovation and engagement and cross-disciplinary collaboration in universities? So I'm going to focus on the first one first, that building capacity for long-term sustainability and resilience. And I've divided the response into two pieces. So one of those is the community side. So one of the things that we think we're doing is helping to foster internal and external collaboration within the city, bringing people together around sustainability, which is really essential to anything that you can actually call sustainability. We're also bringing in other partners and expertise, which is really important to moving this work forward from idea, plan, policy to actual implementation in the community. We're integrating local perspectives on priorities, on issues that are important to them, and we're integrating that with sustainability expertise that's coming from the community itself, from other stakeholders, from faculty, and from students. And we're looking at impacts beyond the partner community. So we're doing a lot of really great projects that are specific to Minnetonka right now. We'll have a new set with North St. Paul. We're serving those communities directly, but also producing a body of work that other communities can take. These are now plans, projects, examples, best practices, maps, data that integrate sustainability perspectives that can be examples for other communities. At a minimum, we'll post all of those reports and final products on our website. We're looking at ways that we can build a broader database and sort of interactive website where we can share those examples. And I think as we look at doing this work over hopefully years and years and years, we will continue to develop this body of work, which I think, again, really moves beyond the work that happens in an individual community and is contributing to this bigger issue of how do we promote sustainability practice or sustainability communities. On the university side, in terms of building capacity, we're training the next generation of sustainability practitioners. We're doing really cool projects in classes that maybe wouldn't have projects otherwise. But in addition to that, it's this bigger piece of training people to do this work, to think in a certain way, to advance sustainability, to think about resilience, to think about change and how they're going to be able to respond to that in the work that they do in planning or architecture or forestry or agriculture or wherever they're working. And that's really exciting. And we're also just building experience, expertise in community-based work for students and faculty. We're getting folks into communities who might not otherwise be there, having to deal with some of the politics and challenges and sort of painful or very good things that you can experience working in communities. It gives a reality check. It gives really, really valuable experience. So going back to question 2, how can we foster innovation and engagement and cross-disciplinary collaboration in universities? So I'm going to divide the response into 2 parts. One on the engagement piece. How do we foster innovation and engagement? One, I think, is by facilitating sustained engagement, moving beyond the sort of one-off model. And I've said this before, I've done a ton of one-off projects. I go in for one semester, I do a project, and then I never really actually check up on it. I don't know if it's been used. I maybe hear something anecdotally a year or two after. But it's a one-off type of experience. So what we're trying to do here is facilitate sustained engagement. It's about multiple projects that are priorities. They're not projects that are made up for students to work on as sort of a favor to the university. We ask for projects that are current, that are relevant, that are in the work plan for that community. And we work on a number of those projects, and we start to establish a relationship with the staff that are there, with potentially elected officials, appointed officials, so that we can really have engagement that's going to be meaningful for that community and have a longer-term impact. We're also focusing on two things. One is expert-informed, and the other is context-driven. And you'll note that I'm not putting expert-driven here. We are experts here at the university, or we perceive to be experts in a lot of things. We can inform the things that are happening in communities, but we can't drive them. And so I think thinking about this kind of community engagement as a way to bring expertise to communities, but fit it into the context of what's happening in that community. What are the politics? What's the history? What are the demographics? What are the economic conditions? When are they ready to actually move with the product that we're going to produce as a part of work through RCP? So mixing that expert-informed with context-driven, I think, are two guiding principles that have been kind of in the back of our minds as we've been doing this work. And also, I just think the importance of building long-term community-university relationships. We already had a bit of a relationship, of at least a few of us, with Minnetonka. Minnetonka now knows a bunch more faculty at the university that are spread across colleges and disciplines that they wouldn't have otherwise been able to connect with. They can create opportunities for ongoing work. They're already talking about future projects focused on evaluation of some of their programs with the Minnesota Evaluation Studies Institute. Is that the name? I think so. MESI, which is in the College of Education and Human Development. I think we've also been driven by this broader goal of advancing sustainability and resilience. We want to do really great engagement that's authentic and valuable to the community, but bigger than that, we're wanting to advance sustainability and seeing community engagement as one of the mechanisms to actually get to that point. So that bigger piece is in the back of our minds and driving us as we facilitate and make the small decisions that are part of running these projects. So it's bigger than the local projects. It's bigger than the sustainability or than the student and faculty engagement pieces of this. So on the second part of that second question on how do we foster innovation and cross-disciplinary collaboration, as we look at sustainability and resilience, we have to think cross-disciplinarily. We have to think about how to bring all of our perspectives and expertise to the table. We can't do it without cross-disciplinary collaboration and integration. But there are significant barriers at universities. We've probably heard all of them. We have tuition models that are focused on colleges and departments and creating lots and lots of challenges. We have a pretty significant college focus. Most of the way that things are administered at the university are around colleges, which creates significant silos or barriers. We also have some concerns in promotion and tenure. There are some disincentives for doing this kind of work, for reaching across colleges, for doing community-engaged work that might take a little bit more time but have better outcomes. There are lots of things that we've been talking about for a really long time that probably aren't new to any of you. I think what we've been thinking about as we've been doing this and thinking about how to continue it, sustain it over time, make it more resilient, all of those things that we're trying to do with the work that we're doing, but also in our own program, is thinking about how we can orient universities, create opportunities for strategic investments that really respond to those critical challenges. And sustainability and resilience, I think, is one of those areas. So I think it's a significant opportunity and I think a significant jumping off point for this kind of conversation. So lessons, as we've finished up our first year, I think the network, the Sustainability Faculty Network, has been really critical to a quick start for us. It gave us legitimacy. We had broad-based conversations that said, this is important to do. You have, in a sense, our blessing to do this. Supply of faculty, and we'd already done a lot of organizing across disciplines and had a good base of support. Evaluation is really essential. We're starting to track some of the student outcomes, faculty experiences, community experiences, looking for ways to track longer-term impact in the communities, 2 years out, 3 years out, 5 years out, to see what's happening with these projects. Are they using them? Has it changed the way that they think about things? Are they collaborating in different ways? I think the last two are about affiliation. Resilient Communities Project has been supported by Institute on the Environment. We've been supported by CURA, Center for Urban and Regional Affairs, for last year and this upcoming year. We're not really affiliated. We float within the university, and that creates lots of advantages and some disadvantages as well. I think it creates lots of flexibility. We can work with those who opt in, we can work with the innovators, and we can really cut across collegiate boundaries. At the same time, it challenged our ability to get recognition. Some communication resources that might be associated with colleges are harder to garner, and finances can be a bit of a challenge as we look at the flows of resources across the university. So next up for us, starting work with North St. Paul, which is very, very exciting. We're working on internal and external funding sources, and I think the strong base of experience that we've had, the numbers that we're able to show in terms of potential community interest and the work we've done in Minnetonka so far, I think makes a pretty strong case. Another exciting piece is that Resilient Communities Project is part of a broader network of programs that are starting to emerge at other universities across the US. We've been significantly informed by work that's happened at the University of Oregon through the Sustainable City Year program. They're now in their 4th year. They've just selected their 4th community. And they're doing a similar model where they're matching up local community projects with courses at the university, both graduate and undergraduate at University of Oregon. Emerging programs coming from University of Iowa, Penn State, Associated Colleges of the Twin Cities, which is 5 private schools in Minneapolis, and St. Paul, and a number of others. We were just at a workshop in Portland and Eugene a couple of weeks ago, had the opportunity to present our model in this emerging network, and other universities there, Arizona State, Texas A&M, Earlham College, College of New Jersey, probably 20 others or so are looking at this model and really interested in it. So we're also working a lot on communications, looking for opportunities to share the story of Resilient Communities Project, and also promoting the work that's happening in the communities as we think about advancing sustainability. Again, we want to advance the practice of sustainability and resilience. We want to advance engagement and cross-disciplinary connections. And we want to create opportunities and forums, use Resilient Communities Project, again, as a jumping off point for thinking about how do we allow innovation to exist in kind of big, messy institutions like universities, or even in communities. How do we allow innovators to lead in these institutions? I think the leadership that's happening both through Resilient Communities Project, through the communities themselves, through the faculty and the students who are involved are amazing. It's, I think, a compelling story, and I think that story and being able to tell that story is really essential for facilitating the kind of big changes that we want to see in institutions, whether they be communities, again, or in universities. So with that, I want to thank Barrett again and Mike, who's not here today, who've really been essential in doing this work, and also IonE and CURA for funding this last year. So thank you very much. I'm happy to take questions.